So the first word is erudite. Erudite is someone who has a profound knowledge. For example, like you'd find erudite student in Cambridge, Harvard and MIT. So if you try to memorize this word, you can think of the word elite. So the elite student is like high class student, and if you're thinking of someone who has profound knowledge, you can link the word to elite. Number 2 is eschew. So eschew means when you're trying to avoid something. You know how politicians, they before the election, they would always make a lot of promises, and after the election they would try to avoid their responsibility. So in this case, they are trying to eschew their responsibilities. And number eschew is like, you kind of link it to, the word eschew means when someone's trying to avoid something. I don't know, it's just me. So number 3 is esoteric. Esoteric is when something is limited to a group of people. For example, if you're a K-pop fan and if you're an anime fan, you would really like that BTS hoodie or Blackpink t-shirt, or like Full Metal Alchemist pendant, stuff like that. That really matters to me. So these kind of stuffs are kind of limited within our people. So that's esoteric, when something is applicable for a limited amount of people. And a spouse is when you're trying to support an idea. For example, I really support the idea, or like support the feminist movement, so I espouse the feminist movement. And if you're trying to link the word with something, so spouse means wife, and you kind of have to support it, so you can link it like that. And exacerbate is something when something makes the situation really bad. Suppose I have a fever, and then I decided to go for a jogging, and then I got caught in the rain. So my fever just worsened, so it exacerbate my fever. So exacerbate is like cross limit or worsen something. Cross limit is not the word exactly, but you can remember it. You can use it to remember the word. So the next word is exacting. Exacting is someone who is a perfectionist or like very strict. So her coach was very strict, even though she had a lot of health problem. He was just very strict on her training. So exacting is like someone who's trying to get the exact result, or perfectionist. And exalt is like hailing or admiring something. So to me, that would be K-pop and anime. Like the anime characters, I exalt them, and like my room is full of posters because I exalt K-pop artists and anime characters. And next word is exonerate. Exonerate is to find someone innocent. So suppose there was this case, and they did not find someone's DNA sample or the fingerprints, so they had to exonerate him to innocence. They had to exonerate him of all the charges. Expound is to explain something in details. A sentence, example sentence would be, suppose after the board meeting, I talked to the director and I asked him why he took that decision, but he refused to expound, or he refused to explain it to me. So that's like, and if you want to relate it to something, so it would be, the word would be explain, and expound. So expound is actually explaining in details. So the next word is extent. Extent is even though people thought extent is something that is existing, still standing. So in the past, people thought if technology like increased a lot, like advanced a lot, bookstores they would extinct, but they're still extending. So that's they're still extent. And extent, the word, if you want to relate, you can memorize it by existing and standing. So something that is existing and standing, that is extent. And next word is fallacious. Fallacious is something that is based on a false information. So for example, there is a rumor that says that the Eskimos, they have 50 words for the word ice, which is not correct, which is not true. So that's fallacious information of the all that fallacious. And fallacious is like, it kind of reminds you of false things. So that fallacious, something that is based on false information. And fastidious is someone who's like overly concerned. For example, me, I'm overly concerned with my skin, my appearance, my look, and how I always have to be wearing black. So that's fastidious, like fast and tedious together. And flux, the word is flux. Flux is when something is uncertain. After the CEO of a company resigns, the future of the company becomes very flux. And if you remember, the word is like reflux, when you try to, like, when you do this and that is called reflux. So it has something like, if you want to remember it by that, you can. So flux is when something is very uncertain and it's like totally upside, I guess. So next word is foment. Foment is when you try to generate a public opinion. So let's just say there's this guy who wanted a promotion, but the boss did not think he qualifies for the post, so he didn't do it. And then he got really evil and he tried to spread rumors and foment an idea of discontent within the company. It's like something that is like creating a public opinion. So foment, if you try to relate it to something that's like foam, it kind of builds up suddenly. So that, I don't know, like my examples might seem weird to you, but that's how my head works, and that's how I can memorize things. So if it doesn't work out for you, I'm sorry. Yeah. So forlorn is something. This is gonna sound very funny. Forlorn is something when someone becomes very hopeless. That is an adjective. And forlorn is let's just say if something bad happens to BTS, and if something bad happens to, like, my what my best friend or my crush or something like that, I would be very, after hearing the news, I would be forlorn, right? And if you try to remember it, it's like you can remember it by fall on the floor. So it's like very hopeless people fall on the floor. So that's one way to remember it. And forthcoming when someone is not open to talk about something. For us, like people who watch anime, we are kind of not forthcoming when it comes to discussing or sharing our hobbies or something, because we are always like kind of concerned whether we're concerned that people are gonna judge us, but like not me, I don't really care. So the next word is fortuitous. Fortuitous is something that happens by chance and is something good. So it's like if something happens by fortune, it's like fortuitous fortune. So well, the some real object person sizes space on. I cannot find a proper example for that, but fortuitous is something that happens by fortune, and it's a good thing. And serendipity, yeah, something that happens by chance, but it's something that is good. That's serendipity. I think fortuitous and serendipity is like has the same meaning. Then frivolous. Frivolous is something very flimsy and fake. Frivolous, flimsy and fake. There are so many YouTubers who got exposed because they were talking about doing charity, but turned out all the money was going to their own personal account, and so their intention was like to help. Their intention to help people were frivolous. And frugal, well, someone who tries not to waste money, and like what's it called, uh it's not like being miser. I think it's just that someone who doesn't waste a lot of money on unnecessary thing, which is not me. I waste a lot of money on shit that I never use. Okay, next is frustrate. Frustrate is something when something is hindered by something. Frustrate is in general, we know what it means, but in GRE, frustrate means to hinder something. So at the moment, my parents' decision and money problem is kind of frustrating my growth, is hindering my growth. So that.